Egypt and they set republics and they were like happy that they could be free. But the Soviets didn't like that. So they would send in agents to do what's called critical theory. That's where you observe all the groups in a country: ethnic groups, Bosnians, Croats, Serbs; religious groups, Sunni, Shia, Orthodox; economic group, racial groups, and they would categorize them as victims and oppressors, haves and have nots, and then they would pit them against each other and orchestrate protests that they would escalate into riots and violence. Why violence? Because then people think emotionally. It's like liquid cement. It's like they want to blame somebody, and then they co opt the media to blame the new leader of the new country for all the problems, and his popularity falls. And then they do a coup and replace him with a Soviet puppet, and the dust settles, and now they're behind the Iron Curtain. And so the Soviets would go into country after country and do this destabilizing. And so in 1960, they formed the Palestinian Liberation Organization for the sole purpose of sowing division in the Middle East so it would not become pro-American.
Hmm.
And and so you see this mixing together of Islamic fundamentalism with Yasser Arafat together with the Soviet tactics. And anyway, that's what we're seeing happen in New York.
Well, Bill, I got one more question. How does Islam and the Catholic Church, how does let everybody know how that union began and it's still there?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so go back to Muhammad. He was born in 570 AD. His father dies. So let's back up a little bit further. The entire Mediterranean world is Christian. It's Roman Empire that becomes Christian with Constantine, and the capital is now moved to Constantinople. And so you have a Christian Roman Empire that's all of North Africa, all the Middle East, all of Turkey, and then Europe. And then its biggest enemy was Persia. And so they beat each other up and leave a power vacuum. So Muhammad is born in 570 AD. His father dies before he's born. His mother dies when he's 6. His grandfather guardian dies when he's 8. He's orphaned, taken in by an uncle, Abu Talib, who's a merchant. And goes on camel rides to different cities. And Muhammad hears about the different religions. They go to Persia and they hear about the Zoroastrian religion that taught that paradise was filled full of virgins that would fulfill all the guy's desires. Muhammad likes this. It gets incorporated in his belief system that paradise is filled full of virgins. The Zoroastrians also believed in jinns or genies.
Amen. That was Bill Federer. He um, could have sworn we scheduled him to come on today. It is the Jackson and Jackson podcast. Hopefully, he'll pop in while we're on. We're going to be talking about Iran today, and the protests and everything that's going on right now. My co-host is here. Uh, Kevin, can you
Yeah, I'm
say something?
here.
Okay, there we go. We've been having technical difficulties with his microphone. I think he's using his phone right now, which is okay. I'm going to show a few clips about what's going on in Iran and how the United States is responding. Here's another clip right here. It's a short one. As you can see, they're protesting basically the government, and there's been violence there, a lot of violence there. Here's a Iranian comedian that's here in the United States. Let's listen to what he has to say.
The situation with Iran is a rescue mission. It's a rescue mission. We need to go in that country and rescue the kidnapped people by a terrorist regime. When you see a country where people come out for a protest and thousands of people are dead. The news, you look at all the different outlets, they're reporting anywhere from 43,000 to 50,000, some say 75,000. The number is massive for a human to be living in a country where if they go out, they're guaranteed to be murdered. Foreign countries should take this serious. Historically, when a country is held in this situation, they're held hostage. There is a regime that is absolutely brutal and they're killing their own people. The intervention is a must. And the rescue mission is the most beautiful act a country can do for these people. And they're screaming out for help. And we'll see, and then we're so blessed to now through social media be able to really see what's happening. And anybody that follows the news understands that they really are good, peaceful people that are begging for help.
That's like I said, that's an Iranian comedian. He's talking about what's going on, and he, as all other countries do, they're asking for the United States for help. What do you think about that, Kevin?
That takes it for granted that they believe that we are the world's policemen. That takes it for granted that most of the world thinks that we are the world's policemen. If that's what they think, then is this one of our okay? I can't say that this is one of our historic roles and whatnot, right? This was not something that the founding fathers would have ever agreed to. As a matter of fact, George Washington in his farewell address said that we should stay out of the affairs of other countries.
Yeah,
But I think that this is something that we have matured into since World War I and World War II. We walked into Korea for that same for partially for that reason. We walked into Vietnam for partially that reason. We were attacked by somebody that was living in Afghanistan, so we went in there, but in order to, I would say, avenge the attack that they made on us, where they killed almost 3,000 of our citizens. But has the United States been given the moral authority by both its citizenry and by God to be the world's policeman? And that's the question that I would ask. I think so, because we are the only. When you ask, if you ask anybody in the world that doesn't live here, is the United States a Christian nation? Then they would say yes. So, since we represent on the world stage the God of the Bible, and who is the God of gods, and he says he's the God of gods, that he will, that he is represented by, in the world by us, then I would say, yeah, it is. I would say, yes, it is our responsibility, but I don't know whether we need to go and put boots on the ground. I mean, we could park an MX missile right through the window of the Ayatollah.
Apostle Jolly, what about you? What you say?
Well, I can't. I don't know what to. Because I came in the tail end of
We're talking about the Iran and the protests. The people are rising up against the government. They want to be free, basically.
well, I believe that we're supposed to defend those that are weak, that can't defend for themselves. I
Okay,
believe.
define who we is, if you don't mind.
You forgot the professors on here. All right, go ahead.
Let me see. How can I put this? We as people, though we. I don't want to just say United States, but if we have the means to help those that cannot defend for themselves, I believe that we should help, but only to a certain extent, because sometimes when you help, the ones you help, then they don't want your help. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. It
You
sounds
know,
like Afghanistan again. All right.
they cry for help, but then when you help, then they want to when something seems like it went wrong to them, then you're to blame.
Right. Check this out now. I'm gonna catch you up a little bit. I'm gonna show another clip of protesting in. Now, this is to catch you up. This is what's going on in Iran right now.
Hmm.
Um, uh, like you said, you came in on the tail end of it. Right now, the numbers are in the 50,000s of protesters who've been killed by their government. Right now, the United States has sent a fleet. Matter of fact, two fleets, because a carrier is one fleet, but now they have two carriers in that region right now, which now you have two naval fleets.
All
Hmm.
In
right, Carl, define what a fleet is. What is a carrier group?
a, a carrier group, basically is between 8 to 12 ships, stemming
So you've
from.
got an aircraft carrier. What? How? You've got an aircraft carrier. Okay, how many planes does the aircraft carrier have?
Now that I don't know. I didn't really get into the aircraft carrier thing. However, they have enough. They have enough planes on the carrier to carry out a mission in Iran, because Iran, their pilots, their
They
pilots are
don't. They don't want no part of us. Okay. How many destroyers does a carrier group have?
most of the time it's two per fleet. You got two frigates, you got two carriers, not carriers, but cruisers, uh, a battleship, maybe two. Um,
Are
and
there
you
submarines within a carrier group?
Yes, they are there too, and you have what I call LPHs, which are Gators, which carry Marines, minimum of 400, along with naval personnel, and you that means you're going to have a squadron there, as far as SEAL team, whatever, depending on what base they came from. You got 2, 4, and 6 out of Dahlgren, and so if any of the fleet is from Norfolk Naval Base, one of those three SEAL teams are on one of those Gators, and so it might have changed since I was in the mid 90s. Since then, when it comes down,
Okay. So all right. Next question. How many are in a division? How many soldiers or sailors are in a division?
so a carrier can carry up to 5,000 people. Your battleships, your cruisers, between 8 and 1,000. Your destroyers about 350. Your gators, as far as sailors, 350. Uh, then you have your squadron and marines. So a gator can carry 800. also, and then you have frigates with 250. And
So is it safe to say that right now, since we've got two carrier groups, that we have roughly about 50,000 military personnel across the Marines, the Navy, and the
that's it.
Marines and the Navy, roughly around 50,000.
No, let's say 20.
20.
About,
Okay.
well, you know what? I'm gonna say you might be closer. 30. I say 30 to 40,000. And the problem is that um, with Congress is that the Marines and the Navy is not an act of war.
Say what?
The Marines and the Navy are not an act of war. An act of war is sending the army. And so when they say boots on the ground, they're talking about the army. They're not talking about the Marines or any squadron group. We're talking about the army. You got to get permission to you got to get permission from Congress to go to war. That means sending your army. Right now we're in a, how would I say, humanitarian uh we're in a humanitarian stage right now. That's where we are as far as in that area, in that region. um like I said, I was hoping Bill would, come on. Hopefully he'll pop in here in the next 20, 30 minutes. um Also, I got one other clip to show you because they're also uh, gathering in DC and petitioning our government. Check this.
Who is that? Who is they?
I'm about to show you.
The people of Iran. Regime change in Iran. No, no to mullahs. No Shah, no to mullahs. Regime change in Iran. Terrorist regime of Iran. Down with terrorist regime of Iran. Khamenei's emir. Khamenei's a murderer. Down with Khamenei. Change, change, change. Change, change. Regime change in Iran. Regime change in Iran.
This protest actually marks the 40th day of mourning of the people who were killed on January 8th and January 9th, the bloody Thursday and Friday where Iranian regime opened and gunned down unarmed protesters inside Iran. So we have gathered here as Iranian Americans to not only commemorate and remember the fallen, but also declare our solidarity with the Iranian people and their fight against this regime and a fight for a democratic, secular Republic Iran.
What we're asking not only American government, but the international community, first is to recognize the right of the Iranian people to resist the Iranian government. And this is very important for us. Iranian government is a terrorist government, and is not a legitimate government. They don't represent Iranian people, and we want the world to recognize the right to fight against the Iranian government.
Don't be terrorist regime in Iran by the people of Iran. Don't be terrorist regime. Change, change, change. Regime change in Iran.
Change, change, change. Regime change in Iran.
Regime change in Iran by the people of Iran. Regime of Iran. Khamenei's a
Wow. All right, Reg. After seeing that, what you think?
Well, uh, like I said, it could go both ways because I believe that if they cry for help, I think, you know, we should be able to help them if possible, you know. But there's also there's others that may think that, you know, we're spreading ourselves thin. We should not be in other people's business because we have problems and affairs that's going on here in the United States as well. So how can we go and help others when we can't even help ourselves, and we're dealing with problems here in the United States as well. You know, they so yeah, it could go both ways. You know, but I do believe that if we can help, I believe United States should help if we can.
Kevin.
All right, I'm going to read something. This is the First Amendment of the Constitution. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That's our First Amendment. Okay, so what you just played a clip of was a bunch of folks that are, I guess, Iranian
America.
and American. I guess they have both citizenships that are peaceably assembled to petition the government to. They're not having. I don't call them having a grievance against our government. Okay, they are
Mhm.
asking the government to intervene in a foreign government. In other words, we are asking, they have a grievance against a foreign government that is their ancestry that they can't go over and take care of themselves. I mean, we're not going to give we're not going to give them AK-47s to go over there and tell them to shoot up, you know, the Iranian, you know, what is the Revolutionary Guard. They will get killed quick. But
Right.
again, as I said, we can park an MX missile through the bedroom window of the Ayatollah whenever we want. I mean, okay, let me say this. In I think 1974, flight 704 was shot down. Okay, that was done by Muammar Gaddafi under the Reagan administration.
Mhm.
Okay, the Reagan administration, once they found out what happened, they put a missile through Gaddafi's bedroom window. And but Gaddafi was sleeping in a tent in the backyard, so he didn't get killed, but one of his wives and one of his daughters did.
Right.
Okay, so we have missiles that we can park in their bedroom window whenever we want. And that was and Gaddafi said, "Okay, I'll be good. I'm not going to do that no more."
Mm.
And Libya did not go shooting down any more airplanes after that one, when they found out that we could park a missile through his bedroom window. So anytime we want, we can actually do that. And I am very sure that the CIA, we've got the CIA and the Mossad crawling all over Iran. They can tell where the Ayatollah is at any given point in time.
Gotcha.
So can we do it? Yes. Okay. Can we help them people by getting rid of their government? We can take out every one of their government anytime we want. Okay. Should we? My thought is yes, we should. But, okay, we have to make sure that we know what we're doing in the aftermath.
That's
And
right.
the reason why I say that is what most people don't actually recognize is this. And this is the problem with what George W. Bush did in Iraq. Okay? This country had 154 years from the Mayflower, from the Mayflower Compact, from the landing of the Pilgrims in 1620 to 1776. We had 154 years of Christian history in this country. Okay, and so you cannot just lay. All right, Reggie, I need to repeat this so you can hear it. Okay, we had This is my problem with what George W. Bush did with Iraq. Okay. What most people don't realize is this, is that we had in this country from 1620 to 1776, 154 years of Christian history in this country. You cannot lay democracy or representative republic down on a people that do not have that as a part of their history and do not have that as a part of their culture. To
Right.
just say you, in order for a democracy to work, you have to have common understanding, and you have to have common understanding. You have to have wisdom and righteousness. You do not have that in an Islamic country. You can give them the right to vote, but they don't have common wisdom, they don't have common understanding, and they for sure do not have common righteousness. And you have to have that for democracy to work, which is the reason why democracies, for the most part, work in places in Europe. It
Right.
works in because Israel is a Judeo, it's based on Israel, is based on Judaism and whatnot, right? And so it is a Judeo-Christian nation, even though, you talk about Israel in the Old Testament, okay, which Christianity, let me say this as a definition, Christianity is the logical extension of Judaism because Jesus is the Jewish Messiah. Okay, so we are the logical extension of Judaism. We are actually grafted into the Israeli tree. Okay, so you cannot. Okay, so getting back on subject, you cannot just lay a democracy on a people that do not have that as a part of their history and as a part of their culture. And that's the problem with us going in there and just wiping out all of Iran's leadership, because Iran does not have that common wisdom and common understanding and common righteousness that the United States had, because they had just, we had the first great awakening from the 1740s to the 1740s to 1770s, under George Whitefield, Jonathan Edwards, John and Charles Wesley. We had a major revival in order to prepare us for the Revolutionary War. And
Right.
so, and that in order to prepare us in righteousness for the Revolutionary War, we didn't just decide that we were going to do it. God actually took 40 years to prepare this country for it. And so you can't just
Mm.
drop that in on this Islamic nation, because there is nothing in their culture that has democracy or representative republic. Every Islamic nation always has a king, an emir, or something, a strong man that takes over and runs the country, and that's what their culture is used to, and that is what they do. That's why
Mm.
when the Palestinian Authority, they had an election, and they haven't had one since.
Wow.
They elected Hamas, and Hamas went in, and they have not had an election since in 20 years. That's what Islamic countries do. What did the guy in Turkey say? Erdogan. He said, "A democracy is like a train. We get off. Once we get to the destination, we get off." And that's the reason why Erdogan in Turkey, which is Islamic, once he got in office, they haven't had an election since. That's what Islamic countries do. Christian countries, we can have elections, okay?
Right.
Some of our elections are kind of screwed up, but we have people that have tried to Shanghai the elections and whatnot, right? But we don't just cancel the elections without undergoing the wrath of the people. And so you have to have a Judeo-Christian history and a Judeo-Christian culture in order for a democracy or representative republic to work.
Mm. Okay, I was right now. Right now, they're live. They're live right now. Apparently, we have strike Iran.
What? Donald Trump just struck Iran? Is that what you're saying?
Hold on, I'm trying to get I'm trying to find a live feed for it. I'm trying to find a live feed. Man.
Right back.
So this high school anti-ICE protester gets which tried occurred in September.
Hold on. Can you hear?
Can I hear what?
Never mind. You can't hear it. Live. I'm trying to find something that's like within a couple of hours or something. Hold on. Mm, He's speaking right now, and I'm trying to jip it. How about that? Hold on, let me see something here. Maybe I can get this one. I'm trying to get this link here and see if it'll let me do it. Give me a second. Oh, great. This one's slowing down too. He's taking questions. Basically, we bombed the IRGC military sites in Iran. Multiple explosions hit Paris. And right now, we're on high alert. And it wouldn't let me. Ah,
So you're saying that we have bombed some IRGC sites in Iran?
yeah, we've done it just recently.
Defined recently.
Within a few hours.
Okay.
Within a few hours, we've hit them. I'm seeing if I can get a
See, my thought is this: is that okay? We do stuff like this. This is like spanking the bottom of a child that's been
yeah,
doing things wrong. Okay,
right.
unless we're going to go full blown into regime change, they have no incentive to change their behavior, and that's what we want them to do. But because they are not, because their leadership is not, doesn't govern in righteousness, they're not going to change their behavior. The only thing they want is power, and as long as they can stay in power, they will withstand our giving them a spanking as long as they can stay in power.
September 22nd.
Got you.
Gays, gay, bro. These people are the evil. If y'all properly put that together,
I don't want that.
that'll be something to watch.
I'm trying to find something live
Iran stopped
in Iran.
right now. So humongous thanks to you so much once again. I hope that Joe said incredibly well. And
Or hell. because they're not human, and so they are cursed.
I'm still looking for
Was
something.
carried out is over.
Brethren of their father.
What's this? CBN? That's them.
Is some tragic news this morning as we have lost a civil rights.
I'm looking.
Mayor Wamdani is refusing to.
Joining us now to talk.
They're not trying to broadcast it, and I can't get the live feed for some reason. I can't bring the live feed on. I cannot get the live feed to come on. Basically what's happening right now is like I said earlier, we have military forces there in the region, our Navy, and there are Marines on those ships. They're not only on the Gators, there are also Marines on the aircraft carriers also. So um, uh, just like the guy said in the video, it's going to be like a rescue mission for them to take out the government and for the people to create their own government. What kind of government that'll be, I do not know.
Well, it's not a question of what it will be. The question is, no matter where they start is not going to be where they end, because they can have one election, okay, and then whoever wins decides that they're not going to have any more elections.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. That's what happens in Islamic countries. You can't name me one Islamic country in the world today that has had more than one election. Every time, whoever wins that first election, they never give up power in a second election. They never take a chance.
Yeah.
And so we change our government every 2 years. We've been doing that for 250 years. We change our government because we have an election with Congress every 2 years.
Because
now, granted, sometimes we will have like 20, 30 years where like we had 20, 30, I think we had 40 years before the contract with America with Newt Gingrich, where the Democrats controlled Congress. We had 40 years before that, where the Democrats controlled Congress. But and we haven't had that long of a stretch where the Republicans controlled Congress since after the Civil War, and it still wasn't 40 years because Reconstruction ended, I think, in 1876 after the Democrats took over Congress again.
Right.
So they were only, the Republicans only ran Congress for maybe 15 years. And so, the Democrats they've had a run on staying in power for a long time, and whenever they are not in power, they do everything to get back in power.
I got you.
Sometimes Republicans will end up with both houses and the presidency, but for the most part, once that happens, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to actually seriously reverse some of the damage that the Democrats have done, but that's a different issue for a different day. Okay? But there's no Islamic government that changes its government with elections every few years. They might say that to start off with, like we're only going to have our presidency for only 5 years or 6 years or whatever. But then once that time comes up, whoever's in power will cancel elections and they will never leave power.
It's just crazy.
Somebody would have to show me one. There are 34 Islamic countries in the world. Somebody would have to show me an Islamic country that has elections every few years and they change their government. I don't know of one.
I mean, like I've been to Saudi Arabia. It is
It's a kingdom.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, they're how would I say it? Um, it's a capitalist society, but they have a whole lot of rules. I got another. This is breaking news. I don't know if you heard about this today or not. Um, yeah, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but I'm gonna play this clip real quick.
I just got home 45 minutes ago.
Wow.
I mean, well, I just got home about an hour ago, huh?
So you don't know about the shooting at Mar-a-Lago today?
No, all right, somebody tried to shoot Trump again.
Yes.
I just saw that as well.
Did he miss? I take it for granted that he missed.
Trump not even in Mar-a-Lago.
Okay. So why is this guy? All right.
Yeah, I think
So
Brandy for
who?
bringing that up. I'm about to show it right now.
We are back with the Fox News alert. We can now report, per U.S. Secret Service, that an armed man in his 20s was shot and killed by U.S. Secret Service agents in the local sheriff's department at Mar-a-Lago after unlawfully entering the secure perimeter.
Any minute now, we're expecting a press briefing out of Mar-a-Lago from the FBI, Secret Service, and local officials. So what we understand at the moment is that overnight, around 1:30 in the morning, a 20-year-old man armed with a shotgun tried to scale the north gate of Mar-a-Lago and was shot and killed.
That's right. And, you know, the Secret Service spokesman, Anthony Guglielmi, has tweeted this out just moments ago. In it, the details, as you mentioned, Charlie, he says that around 1:30 a.m., I mean, in his 20s, was shot by Secret Service and Palm Beach County deputy from the sheriff's office following an unauthorized entry at the secure perimeter at Mar-a-Lago. This was near the North Gate, and they add to it that this individual, whose identity is being withheld pending notification of next of kin, was pronounced deceased. The individual was observed by that North Gate at Mar-a-Lago property carrying what appeared to be a shotgun in a fuel can. As you look on your map here at Mar-a-Lago, at the top of your screen is north, at the bottom of your screen is south.
So this would, of course, be the third attempt that we know of on the life of President Trump. Last night, he was not at Mar-a-Lago. He was at the governor's ball, the governor's formal ball at the White House. But this is incredible news. We're going to have a press conference at 9:30 a.m. We'll obviously be taking that live.
And so the North Gate, we think, would be the one that's right behind on your screen, right behind the little inset box showing the state of Florida, would be right there. And that is the main gate where visitors who are coming to Mar-a-Lago pull in right there before going down and to the covered carriageway where you enter the compound there. And as Rachel points out, this would be the third attempt that we know of that has been thwarted of people trying to do harm. Of course, in one of those cases, actually managing to shoot the president, but in the ear, and the second one being at the golf course down there in Florida.
And as we get details, which are just coming in with the press conference, we wait any moment could come from Mar-a-Lago. We do at least know from the Secret Service that Secret Service agents and this Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office deputy confronted this man, and shots were fired by law enforcement during the encounter. No U.S. Secret Service or Sheriff's Office personnel were injured in the incident. There were no Secret Service protectedness present at the location, meaning that there was no one that Secret Service protects. The president, the first lady, and others were at that North Gate. It appears that this individual, according to just the details we're getting from the Secret Service in this social media tweet, is that the individual approached the North Gate, but not necessarily posing a direct harm to any of the protectees that the Secret Service is sworn to protect there.
He did not breach the...
Okay, so Brandy, the police did shoot him, not the Secret Service. So he did die by suicide. Cop. So yeah, yeah, yeah. The police there shot him. So oh well. Um, I know. Um, this is amazing. I don't know why it keeps happening, but it's going to keep happening. Um, and even
I know why it keeps happening.
people
That's
crazy.
simple because people are wicked. You know, that's
Yeah,
simple.
yeah.
That's simple.
Mm-hmm.
People crazy. Okay.
They've been brainwashed, you know, by all of the, Media Research Center said that 97% of all news coverage of President Trump is negative.
That's true.
And so, when you've got that, when you've got everybody literally against you, okay, 97%, that's, I'd like those odds. Okay. Please give me those odds and whatnot right at the racetrack. I'm serious. You
Yeah.
know, give me those odds at the crap table, at the roulette table. Give me those 97% chance that I'll win. 97% of the, according to the Media Research Center, 97% of all news reported about President Trump is negative. Now that's down from 98% in his first administration.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's amazing how these people, they're nuts. They're nuts.
Stephen Colbert, for instance, on late night TV, right? CBS late night TV has not had one conservative Republican on his show, period, since he's been doing it. Not one. So we're talking about somebody that's been on CBS late night for on its way towards 10 years, if not more, because I forget when Letterman retired.
Right.
Okay, so he has not had one conservative guest. And for him, it's just a hate Trump fest every single night. Granted, okay, he's been fired. Okay, his show will not be renewed when it ends. They should have taken him off the air when they said they were going to do it, rather than letting him stay on for the rest of this year.
Well, there's a contract thing. I mean,
Fine, they can eat the contract. This is $1 billion corporation. They can multi-billion-dollar They could have ate the contract.
yeah, you can say that they could have. However, they didn't want.
They also could force him to have conservative guests too.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true too. But it depends on whether it's in his contract. If his contract says I can have whoever I want to have, you can't force me to put on nobody X, Y, Z, and ABC. Then yeah, if it's in his
In the
contract,
NFL, they renegotiate contracts all the time.
that's true. They renegotiate. But this for him, who's a staunch progressive, I ain't even gonna call him a liberal, leftist. Maybe he just hates people that believe that conserving the Constitution is a non-starter for him. They hate First Amendment rights for those who believe in Jesus Christ. They hate First Amendment rights for the church. They
Let me
believe
ask you a question.
there's too many.
If they put you on there, right? You would probably eat his lunch. Okay? If they put any of those conservatives that you listen to, they would probably eat his lunch 6 ways to Sunday. They put Bill Maher on there.
Oh my goodness! And he's a liberal.
Okay, he would eat, and he's a liberal, and he would eat his lunch. Okay, because see, the thing is this: I don't look at them as being progressive because you define the term. You call me the professor. Okay, define the term. they consider themselves progressing towards what?
To the left, to communism, socialism. That's what they're
Right. Okay. But this is not a socialist country. This is, if anything, we are center right.
right.
Okay. And so they are trying to see. I call it regressive.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't call them progressive, because there's not one country that communism has ever worked for except to subjugate the people. You look at every single country that communism um, has taken over, and the people get poorer. Okay, the shelves get emptier.
That's right.
People are trying to get out as quickly as they possibly can. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
what are they? It is not progress; it's regress. It is regressive, not progressive.
It's and
And the
so
word radical, okay, the word radical, that comes from the Greek word radix.
okay.
Okay, the radix means that you're going back to the fundamentals of what you're dealing with, right? And so when they say that they are radicals, they're not radicals. They're recreationary. They are
Ah,
trying to create something that did not exist before. They're not being radical. They are not going back to what was the founding. When they say that they are radicals, they're not trying to go back to the founding of this country. Okay. They're trying to recreate something that did not exist before. And so I don't look at them as being radicals. They are recreationary. They are
that's
trying to recreate in their own, I'm not even going to say their own image. They're trying to recreate something that never existed before, because they're looking at a communist utopia. But even when Mao took over China, they realized that they can't run China as with a communist economics. They had to mix in, they had to mix in capitalist economics, because communist economics don't work.
right.
And so even though they have a communist government, we call them the Chinese Communist Party. They have a capitalist economics.
Right. That's
And
right.
so because communist socialist economics do not work, there's not been one nation in the world where it has ever worked.
And you got to think about, that's the reason why the Soviet Union fell. That's the reason why Korea, you can tell if you shine a light on the whole country of Korea, you can tell what part is north and south based on the lights.
Yeah.
uh,
If you do it at night, you can tell
yeah,
very, very easily.
easily. The only place that's lit up is the palace where Rocket Man lives. Um, we're running up on the end and whatnot. Let me get some final thoughts. Apostle Jolly, what you think about what we talked about today, Iran, and then um uh president, the president being attacked again, attempt on his life again. What'd you say?
Well, let me first say that, I've never been a political type person, but I, that's something that's going to happen when it comes to Trump, you know, because he got people that hates him, and they don't agree with the way he's trying to do things. Now, I always tell people I've never been a Trump man, but I agree on some things that he is doing, such as trying to dedicate the United States back to God. When Obama in his speech said we're no longer a Christian nation, and that's pretty much why we're maybe one of the reasons why we're in a rut that we're in.
Right.
But when it comes to um, the things of God that Trump is trying to implement into the country.
Mhm.
I do agree with that. You know, I do support them on that, but we have to keep him in prayer because they want him out so bad that they're willing to do anything to get the man out. That
Yeah.
even if they can set him up, you know, they even talking about that they found some pictures or stuff some about him in the Epstein files. You know, somebody can easily put something in there because not we don't know who's seeing the files, who had them first, who decided they want to add something in there or whatever. You know, like I said, I'm not trying to
Pick
not
side.
trying to say that he didn't do anything because I wasn't there. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know, but we got to keep the man in prayer. You know, and not just him, the whole country, and the other country. I believe we should help if we can. You know, because there's wicked men in their government as well, and so if we can liberate them, hey, I'm all for it. But
Hey,
not hopefully it just don't cost us, you know,
that's
in the
right.
long run.
Kevin, any final word?
uh, we live with politics every day.
Hmm.
Okay, just go to the gas pump. Go to the grocery store. Every time you're paying taxes and whatnot, right? You're living with politics. Okay, but as far as Trump is concerned, okay, I believe this. Talk about flipping a coin, right? I believe that Obama was a judgment on this nation, basically for the sin of abortion. We had aborted over 60 million babies by the time Obama came in, and I believe that that Obama was a judgment of God on this country. I believe that 9/11 was a judgment of God on this country. Um, I also believe that you probably won't ever hear anybody else say this but me. Is that when in 2012 when the Republican Party put up Mitt Romney to be its standard bearer to run for president, that the Christian base of the Republican Party, I mean the base of the Republican Party are evangelical Christians, and so most of the evangelical Christians, you know, because Romney was a Mormon, which evangelical Christians believe is a cult, which it is, the evangelical base just stayed home and they were not going to have anything to do with putting a cultist in the White House. And so we ended up with two sessions of Obama, and the second one was worse than the first. Okay, I believe that Trump is a reprieve of God's judgment upon this nation. Okay, and that uh, his whole second election, which he's going after whole hog to say that he should not have lost his reelection. He should not have lost his reelection, not by any stretch of the imagination. But he's in now. He has a mandate now. Okay, and if if Kamala would have won, we there's no way in the world that that if Kamala would have won, that we would have went over there to get Maduro out of Venezuela. We would not have helped Israel get rid of Iran's nuclear program. The entire country would look much, much different if she would have won. We wouldn't have as many factories being built, the whole nine yards, all of that. You can, you know, a person can say that that's not being political. Well, all of that has to do with politics, every single bit of it. You know, um, first thing that we were at the end of Trump's first administration, we were energy independent, and gas was below,
$2.
and yeah, it was. There was some places where it was below $2. Okay, there were some places that it was hovering around $2.10. The first thing that Biden did when he came in office is that he killed off the Keystone Pipeline, and all of a sudden inflation went and got shot up to like 9%. He
Mm.
put 30,000 people out of jobs and whatnot, right up and down where the pipeline was. He put entire towns, wiped out entire towns that were built around building that pipeline.
That's right.
Okay. And our gas prices went up to past $4 on its way towards $5 a gallon. Okay. Because of the environmental nuts that he had in his administration. Okay. And a person can say, I don't want to deal with politics. Well, that's politics. That's how, where we end up with eggs that were what, $9 a dozen. Okay. And
Now,
so
now I'm paying $9 for 5 dozen.
yeah. And so it's just that's all politics and whatnot, right? Which administration is in office, and um, Kamala lost specifically because of one stupid thing that she said. So when somebody asked her, what would you do different? Oh, I don't think I'd have done anything different. All of a sudden, it was all she wrote for her. But she was a dizzy broad anyway. But that's a different issue. Okay, she pretty much slept her way to the top.
Well, I have to agree with one person that said Trump is not a politician; he's a businessman.
Right.
So what he's going to do, he's going to try to do whatever it takes to get the country where it need to be concerning the people that lives here in the country. You see, he already tried to wipe out all the
Get rid of all the illegals. Get them out of here.
Yeah, out of here. Because some of them taking over jobs that we should be able to have.
That's right.
If you're not legally here, so why are you working? You come to visit the country. Come visit the country, then you go back with, unless you get a green card or get a permanent stay, then I can understand. But if
All
you're
right.
over here for,
let me explain this to you, Reggie. The overall thing that Biden did when he came in office was he opened up our border in order to get as many people in here that he possibly could. There was a quote that Barack said back in 2008 or 2009. He said, "The immigrants will learn English, but you better teach your children to learn Spanish," because it was a long-term goal for them to literally dilute this country of its Christian influence, get as many illegals in here, eventually get them to write the vote, and hopefully, and they will more likely than not vote Democrat because it was the Democrats that let them in. And so it was a strategy in order to dilute the Christian influence in this country. And it was a strat. And so bottom line is this, with the whole thing of them, with the dreamers, okay, people came here and they were born here to foreign parents and whatnot, right? That also long-term strategy to get them in, get them voting Democrat, so the Democrats will stay in power. That's what the long-term goal was. And so it's politics. You've got I look at it this way. You had there was you probably never heard of this, okay? But President Eisenhower had this program. It was called Operation Wetback. Okay, this was during the 1950s, where he deported as many Mexicans that he could possibly find and get them out of this country, all the illegals, because we had closed our border when we had shut down immigration to this country for close to 40 years. From the 1920s to the 1960s, we had shut down immigration into this country to give people that were here time to assimilate. Okay. Eisenhower did this thing called Operation Wetback. You know who was one of the biggest fan of Operation Wetback was?
Who?
Cesar Chavez. Okay. He was one of the ones that was Castro's guys and whatnot, right? Cesar Chavez wanted to get as many illegal Mexicans out of this country as we possibly could. Okay. It was called, you can look it up when you get a chance, called Operation Wetback. Get all of the Mexicans and all of the folks from south of the border out of this country. Okay. And Trump needs to talk about that more. That's what I think. It's a slur. I'm not going to say it's not a slur, but it wasn't a slur that he invented. And Cesar Chavez was one of the greatest fans because he didn't want non-Americans picking the fruit in California. He wanted the union people, he didn't want them taking union jobs.
Mhm.
And Cesar Chavez did not want them. He did not want them coming across the border to pick the fruit and pick the vegetables. He said, keep them out of here. We need to have the union people, doing this, because he was a unionist, to keep American jobs American. That was Cesar Chavez, and he was a communist, but he understood. Yeah, but he understood that this is what was necessary in order to keep the country as American as possible.
Well, we got a comment. Brandy said, Brandy says the left would still be complaining about all the horrible things that are wrong instead of doing something about it. And she also says, then go look at the requirements to do it. 2 forms of ID plus some other stuff. Social Security card. I find that hilarious. Now, she's talking about the voting thing. How they complaining about voter ID and things like that.
He's talking about the SAVE Act. They're not asking for two. They're not asking for 2 IDs. She's wrong about that one. The only thing they want is,
she said
to have.
That's what they're complaining about. That's what the Democrats are complaining about.
In other words, they're lying again.
Anyway,
your last comment.
Anyway, we're out of time. I want to thank everybody that came on. Brandy, Alex, what snow, Brandy? We ain't getting no snow down here. Y'all got some snow up there though. But I pray that God bless you and keep you, that his face shine upon you and give you peace. Amen. If you're not doing anything, the Apostle Day show is at 7:30. We're going to be talking about Freemasonry. Please chime in. I got a lot of Walter Martin stuff for you, Apostle. So,
amen. I got a couple of videos that I can show now. Amen. And I'm really doing my research, so I can be more prepared tonight. I don't think there's going to be a one night thing.
Got you.
There
Kevin,
might be more than one.
We're gonna send you the link. Yeah, I'm gonna need you.
Yeah, we're gonna need your professor. Your professorship.
So I want
That's a big maybe.
Yeah.
All right. I will talk with y'all later.
All right. God bless.
God bless you guys.
Bye.